Second, the Housing Authority and the Redevelopment Agency will meet consecutively beginning at 2:30 p.m. in City Council chambers, followed by a joint meeting of the City Council and the Redevelopment.
Good evening and welcome to the September 23rd Civil Service Commission meeting. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Manukian.
Here.
Commissioner Devine.
Here.
Commissioner Carrion.
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Coleman and Commissioner Gantis are absent.
Next.
Minutes.
Move to. Never mind. I'll move to approve.
Second.
There is an approve. Second. Is that move to approve and dispense with reading?
Yes.
Okay. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
Commissioner Carrion.
Abstain.
Commissioner Manukian.
Yes. Next.
Oral communications.
We have no cards. Next.
Eligible list established.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, the item before you, the eligible list that have been established since our last meeting. As you can see, there are 3 lists that have been established, 2 promotional lists, and one of them which is a promotional and open. The total number of applications received is listed in one column, as is the total number of candidates who made the eligible list in the far right column. If you have any questions on this item, I'd be happy to try and answer them for you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Carrion.
I just have one note. No one could say that the station electrician operator apprentice does not have enough applicants. With 345, we took 5. So that's really a
Sign of the times.
A role you wanted. Maybe we can get some of these people to apply for a fireman's job. Just kidding.
It is definitely a sign of the times and very competitive examination process. So.
Okay.
Any more comments?
Move for approval. Oh, I guess we don't have to
there's
approve.
no action necessary.
Yeah, that's right.
Next.
Job bulletin for approval. Fire engineer.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this item is the approval of a job bulletin for fire engineer. It's a promotional examination kept in-house. The civil service rules do require your approval when we have a safety promotional examination. Those are exams such as police sergeant, fire engineer, fire battalion chief, and so on. This is a recruitment and a bulletin which is fully consistent with the class specification for fire engineer. There's no deviations thereof. We hope to post this bulletin next week. We'll open for 2 weeks and commence with an examination process in October. So with that, if you have any questions, be happy to try and answer them. We have Battalion Chief Doyle here, as well as Ms. Hunanian from my staff, who will be working on this process.
Any comments?
I just had one question. You indicated it was an open exam.
Sorry, promotional exam.
Oh, promotional. Okay, so it's just limited then to City of Glendale personnel.
Correct.
Okay.
You have to be at the rank of firefighter for, I believe it's 3 years. Yeah, 3 years experience, and at least 1 year's has to have been with the City of Glendale.
Okay.
Any more comments?
Move for approval.
Second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Devine.
Yes.
Commissioner Carrion.
Yes.
Chair Manukian.
Yes. Next item.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. I would normally make some comments at the end of the meeting during commissioner comments, but as long as we have a fire representative here, I wonder if we could take that portion out of turn and allow me to make a couple of comments regarding the fire department.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Did we vote on this yet?
Yes.
We
Yeah,
just
we
voted,
did.
right? Okay, sorry.
City of Glendale has many reasons to be proud of our fire department, and we look at the way they fought the station fire, and they're giving back portions of their pay raises, and the list goes on and on. However, last weekend I attended an event, Glendale Healthy Kids fundraising dinner, and that gave me a whole new perspective on the dedication and the community outreach and involvement of your fire department. This Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is a fundraiser put on to get funds for helping the health issues of kids in the city of Glendale. It's very important fundraising, very important organization. And this year, as in many years past, the fire department prepared, bought all the food and the beverages for this event. They served all the food. They cleaned up afterwards. And it was interesting because there were 25 people from the fire department there. They ranged in rank from the firefighters to engineers to captains to battalion chiefs to the chief. Harold Scoggins was there. And as they were working, there was no such thing as rank. They were all working together as a team. The chief was pitching in there, clearing tables, serving food, washing dishes just as well as the other people. So that was a very interesting phenomena. The thing that impressed me most, though, is that the fire department paid for all the food and all the drinks out of their own money. I was told that they have what they call the Firemen's Club. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Where all the people in the fire department have, through payroll deduction, a certain amount of money go into this fund. And this money is used for these types of events. They are used for charities throughout the city, and it's the firemen's own money, none of the city's money. In addition, all these people were there on their own time. They volunteered, it was their day off, and they were there because they wanted to be there. And I thought that was very, very admirable of them. To me, this whole event really showed a display of professionalism and generosity and caring without equal. And I, for one, wanted to thank the fire department through you, Chief Doyle, and express our sincere appreciation from all the citizens of Glendale for all that you do for us. And that's all I had.
Yeah. Thank you. Chief Doyle, while we have you up here, is it possible also just to quickly get a status of our firefighter who's recovering from the burns?
Sure. Good evening, Commissioners. Chief Doyle, I'm the training chief of the fire department. Patrick is recovering remarkably well. When we took him to Grossman Burn Center the evening of the accident, I actually was there. I took him and I stayed with him all night. Having been to the Grossman Burn Center, unfortunately, many times with firefighters in the past, and having seen these injuries over the past almost 23 years now, I feared a lot worse. His grafts, his injuries that were initially rated as 30% third degree, which is significant, particularly in the areas of his body where he sustained the burns, caused us great concern. He's been upgraded to second and third degree burns with a lesser percentage, and his healing is really remarkable. And for that, we're grateful. He still has a long road to recover. With all of the physical injury you see from burn victims, particularly with firefighters, there's emotional injuries that will require some time and our attention, and we're on that, and we're going to stay close with him, make sure that he's tooled up both physically, mentally, and emotionally, and put him back in service as soon as we can.
Please make sure you send our regards and best wishes.
I will do that, sir. Yes, sir. And Commissioner Devine, thank you for your generous comments. I'll just say that this is a good group of folks that really do care, and for every event that you do see, I can promise there's multiple others that these folks are involved with. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have one comment. As a former chairman of the, it's just a general comment. As a former chairman of the Glendale Healthy Kids program, the fire department has done this since the beginning, and I do want to thank you. Glendale Healthy Kids is one of the most important programs, not because I used to be the chairman, but it really is. It helps the kids in the program. Just one quick note. Just because there are many venues on Guess Who's Going to Dinner, and not all venues are paid by the fire department.
Oh, no.
Different venues are actually paid by each host that hosts the program, and we want to thank them all. That one venue that the fire fire department took, they actually paid for that venue, but all the other venues are paid by the hosts for each dinner that they actually sponsor. And I want to make sure that that's clear, so there's no one takes any offense that we are saying that all the venues are actually paid by the fire department. That one venue that the fire department took was paid by them. They've done it for many, many years, and they've done it with love, and they get the most people going to it. So for that, I want to thank you, and we want to thank all the others who hosted all the other venues.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Next item, please.
Request to cancel open eligible list police communications operator.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a request by Police Department to cancel the existing list for police communications operator. This list was established over a year ago on August 7th, 2008. In my view, the department has thoroughly exhausted this list. Initially, with 20 names on it. You can see from the staff report, they've hired 4 individuals off this list. They attempted to hire 4 additional more, except those individuals failed the background investigation. We had a number of waivers and withdrawals. 2 individuals fell off the list as they reached their 2-year spot on the list, and we're essentially left with 5 names of individuals that were considered but not selected. At this point, again, following this exam, the department staff is recommending that we start over again and try and freshen up the list and get us some new names. The top 3 remaining candidates on this list have been notified per the Commission's directions. We're coming up with a new examination that we hope is going to be a little more effective in retaining successful candidates, and essentially we'd like to start from scratch and begin a new process and get some fresh candidates in here. This is a very difficult position to fill. It seems like we continually have openings at this level because there are approximately 25 positions that within the communication center, and there just seem to be always openings and a lot of turnover because people who get hired and then don't make it through the probationary period. So we'd like to again see what we can do to cancel this list and start it at a fresh point. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. We also have some representatives from the police department here. Lieutenant Todd Stokes is here. Russ Kwan, who is the analyst for police department, and be happy to answer your questions. So,
Any questions or comments?
Just one question. Do the candidates on the list get notified of this, or did they get notified of this meeting and this?
Yes, Commissioner Devine. Per the Commission's policy, the next 3 remaining names, the highest ranking 3 names on the list are notified by U.S. mail. They're told that this list is going to be subject to cancellation, that this matter is going to be heard at the Civil Service Commission meeting on X date, and they're encouraged to either contact the department or show up here if they have any objections to that action.
Okay, with that, I would move for approval.
And I will second.
Okay, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Commissioner Abkarian,
Abstain.
Commissioner Manukian.
Yes. Next item, please.
Report on hourly employment.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, this is a report that we do twice per year. Goes to the Commission on the status of our hourly employment. Several years ago, the Commission took a great deal of interest in the hiring and retention of hourly part-time employees throughout the city of Glendale. When it appeared that a lot of these employees were working at either full-time capacity or near full-time capacity, to some degree supplanting salaried positions. And Commission gave some direction in both to my office and City Manager's office to see what we can do to reduce those instances where there are those situations of again, hourly employees working in that capacity. A series of rules and policy changes took effect, the most prominent being a restriction of hourly employees from working over 1,250 hours in a fiscal year. Part of that was a control to ensure that we have as few of those as possible, and if we do have those, that they would require special permission from the city manager's office to work over 1,250 hours. Over the years, we've seen a gradual decline in the number of hourly part-time positions exceed that 1,250-hour threshold. This year is no exception to that. In fact, this year was a very significant year in getting those numbers down even more so. As you can see from the report as well as the chart provided, that in the 08-09 fiscal year, we only had 47 positions that reached the 1,250-hour threshold. 45 of those were granted exemptions by the city manager's office for a variety of reasons, which are listed on the back pages of the report. There were only 2 instances of noncompliance to where the department's positions exceeded 1,250 hours, yet they did not have the permission to do so. Both of those situations were really just clerical oversights, and the department failed to keep track of the hours. One of them was barely over by 8 hours. The other one was 56 hours. As you can see, again, even with the non-compliant situations, that's down significantly. Last year we had 10 of those. This year just 2. So, I'd say in the long run, we're seeing a lot of progress made in this area. And hopefully we get to a point where we see very, very few these situations at all. So I do think between the city manager's office, the HR staff, and the departments do deserve some credit for getting these figures down, and very proud to present these figures to you this year. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I also want to thank and commend Rosie Akopian from my staff who did the report this year, and a lot of work. If you look at those charts in the back, a lot of detailed work as far as researching each and every one of those situations that were granted exemptions. Also want to thank Yasmin Beers from the city manager's office, who is the one who essentially all of these situations have to be run by her as far as any exemptions that are granted. So with that, be happy to try and answer any questions you may have.
Actually, before I forget, I have a special thank you from our Chairman Coleman, who couldn't be here today, to Rosie Akopian and Yasmin Beers for putting this together, and he wanted me to make sure to pass along his appreciation in putting together this report and this list. So with that, go to my commissioners. Any comments, sir? Okay.
I have a quick comment. Again, I want to just echo what everyone else has said. This was just a huge undertaking. There was a lot of ups and downs. We went from 194 employees just going way over time, no benefits, no special arrangements, and these people really had no medical insurance. They had none of that, and to go down to 47 and make sure that these people are actually benefit employees, and to make sure that they actually should get what's due to them is just incredible. And what the city manager's office has done, what the human resources office has done, has just been phenomenal. So from me, I just wanted to thank the entire city, and the type of savings that we get just making these people hourly employees, making them part of the city process is just incredible. So for that, I want to thank you all as well.
Mr. Chair, the Commission deserves most of the credit on this, because this would not have happened without your leadership several years ago. So I'll note that.
Any more comments, Commissioner Devine? Okay. Do we need a motion to approve this? No? Okay. Next item?
Amendments to the civil service rules.
Mr. Chair, I have been, because Mr. Coleman isn't here and because Mr. Gantis isn't here, I would like to ask to have this particular item postponed until October, second meeting in October, if that's okay with everyone.
Absolutely. Commissioner Devine?
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
That'll be October 28th.
October 28th. So just for the record, this item, amendment to the civil service rules, will be postponed until October 28th meeting. Okay. Next item?
Agenda forecast.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, at the upcoming meetings, there's nothing of a significant nature as far as report coming back at our next meeting. On the 28th, we will have the advertising budget expenditures report for the first quarter of 09-10 fiscal year, as well as the rule amendments. During the month of November, we will have one meeting. The first meeting that we would have had on the 11th is a city holiday, and then the second meeting, in all likelihood, I believe that's the day before Thanksgiving. The commission traditionally cancels that meeting, so what we're proposing is a meeting on November the 18th, which is sort of in between the 2 weeks that we would normally have, and the availability of this room is a bit more limited on that day, but we could get the meeting in at 3 o'clock p.m. on the Wednesday, November the 18th, so recommending that we have that then. So with that, if there's anything the commission would like to add or move around.
Commissioner Devine?
Yes, Mr. Doyle, on the 14th, I noticed we have nothing listed there at this time. Could that be a meeting that could possibly be canceled due to shortage of work?
In my view, more than likely, yes. I'm going to look at my staff. They're the ones who do all the real work around here. Do any of you folks have anything coming back for October the 14th?
Before we actually cancel that meeting, I would actually ask if you can consult with the chairman, Coleman, and make sure that he's comfortable with that. And I don't think we should make the decision. Maybe he can make that decision.
Absolutely.
I will call him if that's your desire.
And for the record, I will not be here that day. It's a holy day. It's my birthday. With that,
I would have made a comment, but I better not.
Okay, next item.
Reports and information passed to employee performance evaluation, September 2009.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, you have the monthly report on past due performance evaluations. Typically, one member of the commission will choose to comment or recognize those departments that have no late evaluations. I'll leave it in your hands, Mr. Chair. How you want to handle that?
My fellow commissioners are very good at doing this.
Mr. Devine?
Okay. Well, the good guys are the city clerk's office, city manager's office, city treasurer's office. I beg your pardon, city clerk's office does have a second notice pending. So far, city manager's office, city treasurer's office, development services, finance, fire, Glendale Water and Power, human resources, planning, police, and public works all have no past dues, and they should be commended for their good work in that area. There's one that is getting rather large in past dues. However, it's the Community Development and Housing Department, which is right now in a state of possible reorganization, so I can see where this particular issue may have not be top priority at this time. The city attorney's office has one outstanding.
But we still love them.
We still love them. Information Services has one. Library has two. Park and Recs has one. And that's it. So I'd say all in all that everyone's doing a good job in this area.
With no comments, next item.
Civil Service Commission and our staff comments.
In there.
Been there, done that. Next item.
There's no closed session, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.